Hello, I am so glad you've joined me today. I'd like to talk to you about a subject that we oftentimes avoid. It's a subject that's not very pleasant. It's a subject that we deal with every single day. Sometimes we deal with it in more ways than one and in more times than we would like to think about. That particular subject is anger. I'd like to read a definition to you on anger, and then I'd like to take it piece by piece and share with you my thoughts as it relates to life and how we can get in control of that particular emotion and let it work for us instead of against us. So, first of all, the definition for anger is excessive emotion or passion aroused by a sense of injury or wrong. So we're talking about excessive, meaning that it's something that is to the boiling over point, and it has become excessive. And when something is excessive, we are carrying it around, and it has to go somewhere. You've heard the word venting. That particular word comes from letting off steam. And when we talk about excessive passion being aroused by some negative situation, we have to process that. And there are many different ways that people process it. Sometimes they stuff it and they pretend that it, isn't really affecting them. That's really another form of denial. Or they may try to drown it with alcohol, or to put it to sleep with drugs, or they may become physically violent, or they can even try to cover it up with food to make it taste better and be more digestible in terms of their daily life. And there's just, again, so many different ways. Some people become excessive smokers. Some people become involved with different phobias in dealing with the various anger that they have. And this is really, really a serious matter. It's also a matter when it relates to the subject of bullying that we see in our schools, in our neighborhoods, in our local malls, and in the various gang mentalities. All of this dealing really with anger and the very subject core of how and why this individual or individuals may be processing life as it relates to negative energy. So let's read that particular definition. Once again, it says excessive emotion or passion aroused by a sense of injury or wrong. So when we talk about anger, the individual actually feels that they have been injured by another, that they have been misunderstood, or they have been physically harmed in some way, or emotionally harmed, or mentally harmed, or even spiritually harmed. So there's a sense of injury. Well, usually, in a sense of combat, if someone hits you in combat, usually you fire back, and that creates a fight. And so with that situation at hand, we realize that it's very important that we learn to deal with anger properly. Now, the second part of this definition is that it's, first of all, provoked to resentment. Anger is provoked to resentment, and it excites to wrath and enrage. How often have we heard the stories on our afternoon news about road rage? How a person feels, first of all, driven to a form of wrath using their car, and of course being the pilot of threats and of danger to another individual, because they feel that that individual has harmed them in some way, and they are moved to wrath. They're moved to violence, in essence. This is why anger must be dealt with, and dealt with effectively. So when you feel anger, here's some of the things I'd like to share with you that you can do. First of all, realize that it's there. Acknowledge it. Do not pass it off. Do not try to deny that it's there. Do not try to stuff it. Do not try to cover it with some type of drug or alcohol or food, but rather identify it. Literally give it a definition, because anger has a definition. If we will just take a moment and pause when this particular feeling rises up inside of us, this emotion, then we will be able to make a clear choice in how we deal with it. For instance, if I am feeling angry about the individual that just cut me off in traffic, if I decide that they have injured me in some way, or that they have disrespected me in some way, or they have tried to put me behind them in some way and get ahead of me, and that really infuriates me, then instead of using the car to justify correcting this matter, why not do the following? Why not acknowledge, number one, they just cut me off in traffic. That was wrong. As a matter of fact, that was dangerous, not just to me, but perhaps to other individuals that were driving down the highway. What am I going to do about it? Now, that's the key right there, that you must come up with the right and the best answer. So you have to get into the right direction, coming up with the best answer. Is a car a way to resolve an issue with someone you don't even know who's been rude? Absolutely not. Because it's really not about you correcting them. It's about how you are going to handle what they have just done to you, and how you're going to process it so that it doesn't take control of you. Because, see, anger has a tendency to take control of us. It takes control of our mind, our emotions. It can even take control of our physical responses, our reactions and responses that become extremely negative and even dangerous. And so therefore, we must come to the realization that anger is a real emotion and it must be identified. And once it has a definition, then we can decide the best way to process it. And it's never good to take anger and harm another person. That is not the best process. But rather, the best process for handling anger is, number one, to determine that anger will not control you, but that you will control its effect on you. And the way you do is give it a definition, and then give a total panoramic view of what just happened. For instance, you're in the car, you're on the highway, the guy just cut you off. It was wrong. He endangered several lives, perhaps, and especially yours, as well as becoming a costly situation and damaging cars. So, if I look at the panoramic view of it, number one, everyone escaped the situation without being harmed. That's a plus. Number two, obviously the guy needs some counsel and or driving lessons, but he's in need of something today that he doesn't have. Maybe more time to get to where he's going, better organizational skills, better time management, whatever it may be. But the key is that I'm looking at it from a panoramic view, and I'm seeing his weakness while I am celebrating my strength. What is my strength? My strength is to have looked at that situation, be thankful that I'm not harmed and that others are not harmed, and to recognize that this individual has some issues and some problems. But his issues and his problems are not going to bother me anymore, any further. Why? Because I'm going to avoid close contact with that individual. Why am I going to avoid close contact? Because if I continue to drive in a vicinity close to him, he could in fact harm me by his reckless behavior. whether it's school, work, or play. So my best bet is to avoid individuals like that. And if I avoid, because first of all, I can't change them until they recognize that they have a problem. I cannot help them until they recognize that they have a problem that needs to be addressed with self-control. In order to have self-control, though, one must have a definition of what it is that is bothering them, that is causing a rage, that is causing a wrath, that is causing a negative impact on them, which is carried to the public. So, if you're in a situation where there's anger about your surroundings, another individual, you must avoid it. Now, if this is someone that's in your family and they live in your home, and it's a child perhaps that has anger issues, you cannot avoid the child. You must embrace the youngster, and you must be able to help them come to a conclusion of what it is that is bothering them to the point that they're frustrated, that they don't feel that they have an answer, that they don't feel like they have the tools to build something better than the situation that is at hand. And that's where your expertise as a parent or as a guardian comes in. You may also feel that you don't have the knowledge or the tools or the expertise to help them, but you're wise enough, mature enough, experienced enough to get them to an individual that can help them address this matter. Anger is very, very serious because many people are harmed severely. Even lives are taken because of fits of anger. Things are said that can never be taken back. So that's why I want to encourage you. You want to avoid that. If it's in your home, you want to deal directly with it. You cannot avoid it because our behavior comes, first of all, from the issues of the heart. So when a person is acting out, they feel injured. They feel that they have been done wrong, and they're going to right the wrong with another wrong because they're not thinking clearly. They've not defined what it is that they think has happened to them, and they have not surrounded themselves with wise counsel. And so the most important thing that we can remember is that there is safety when you surround yourself with wise counsel. And for our students and our young people, there is safety when you surround yourself with the wise counsel of your parents and your guardians who love you so much. For couples, there is safety in the love of that individual who cares about you, who's trying to help you, who's trying to find out why you're feeling such negativity, not only towards them perhaps, but towards the children, or towards life, or towards work, or towards yourself. They care enough to ask you questions. That should be a flag to you, a significant indication that this person wants to help. They may not have the tools, they may not have the expertise, but one of the things that they may have is the desire to help you to get on a journey to healing that particular injury that you have. Because an injury is an injury. What may be an injury to you may not injure me in terms of a situation. And the best way to do that is to always do a checkup from the heart up. You've heard a checkup from the neck up. I say do a checkup from the heart up. Why? Because the issues of life come from the heart. I'm Eunice Phelps from Orlando, Florida.